Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. Today I started working in the garden. I had anticipated on working on planting the garlic today, just so then that way it would be in, it would be good to go. It's also a very dreary, melancholy sort of a day, but it's the last warm day that we're going to have for a while. So I wanted to sort of spend it outside and get things done and accomplished, but my plans quickly shifted as I was doing a little bit of a walk around the garden to see how things looked since we've had several frosts, and it's not pretty when the frost hits the garden, but I think the asparagus looks really pretty, the contrasting colors between the green and then the orange and then the trees behind me. So fall is definitely in full swing. All of our tomatoes have died off. All of the peppers are dead. The beans are all dead. I will have to this week work on getting things cleaned up in here. But let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see what I do at the end of the season for the garden to get it done. Because if not, if there's no interest, then I'm not going to bore anybody with, showing what I'm doing. So today I actually started working on harvesting the beets because when I was walking around looking at things, I was checking on our beets because we had several huge ones, and I thought, okay, maybe we'll take the time this week to harvest them and then, preserve them and that sort of a thing, so we can have the greens before they get not so great. We like to can the greens, put them in pint jars, so we have them throughout the winter time to have with different dishes. And beet greens are actually our favorite greens that we can do that with. We've done it with kohlrabi greens. I've done it with mixed greens. I've done it with kale before. And the texture and the flavor of the beet greens just happens to be our favorite. So it is what it is. But so when I was looking at the beets, and we had several big ones that I was really jazzed to see. They were like monsters. This is unfortunately what I had found. And that is a beet that a rodent of some sort has eaten the entire inside of. So that's unfortunate. So I went through and I started harvesting all of the beets, which we have, several good sized ones still that were not eaten off of. For the ones like this one that's, clearly not much is left of it, I'm just going to end up tossing it to the chickens so that way they can eat it. But we did get some other pretty good sized beets. We have small ones too. But our beet greens, they look really, really good. I know it's hard to see amongst the mass of green. But so we have a big pile of beets and beet greens there, and then up there we have another pile. This year we pretty much experimented with, in the springtime, when we hatched out chicks in the incubator to test out our new incubator. We had decided that we were going to try to use sand as their bedding instead of using paper towels, because we know that the soil here is very dense clay, and we had thought for root vegetables it would be nice to add in some sand to make it a little bit more workable, and also just to see how it would go. Which we definitely recommend if you're doing a brooder system like in a tote like we were doing. The sand actually is much easier and nicer to clean up than the paper towels, makes less of a mess, and also it made it so that way the soil was able to actually do a lot better than what it had in previous years. This year we didn't know what to expect with the garden because this is only our second year growing anything here, and it's our second year being on the property. So to be able to have, the biggest and best looking beet harvest despite the rodents that we've ever had, it shows me a lot of hope for this land and hope for like next year's growing season, because this land that we're on, it was very much neglected for several years. So the soil is very poor in quality, and it's just hard to work, very compacted clay. So it's actually a really big relief that we got this many beets. It's unfortunate about the rodents eating some of them, but I'm going to be able to preserve a ton of beet greens, more than enough for this year, and a small sampling of beets that are basically just going to be nice additional food sources for us. We do enjoy beets, but it's not like green beans. Green beans are something that we could eat several times a week and still be content with them. Beets are one of those once a week sort of things, or once every couple weeks for us. But it is nice to be able to see that something that we've done with the soil here has had a positive impact, because everywhere else on the soil, like, we had a better harvest this year than we did last year. Obviously, I've said that multiple times, but because of the drought and things of that nature, it was really hard to tell if our soil had really improved by us putting all of the manure on it, or if it was just sort of like staying steady, or how much longer, how much more work was going to need to be done in order to have a nice harvest from the garden. So it was very nice, despite the drought, to be able to have at least something to can. So we ended up with, I think it's round about 25 quarts of green beans that we got this year, canned up. And we didn't do them all in quarts. We did some in pints, but you know, it's what it equals out to being. And then we got more than enough tomatoes to make marinara sauce. And then we also had somebody give us some tomatoes too, so that ended up helping that out. Our tomato crop did not do well this year. It did better last year, but I think that a good part of that is probably because of the drought and because of how hot it was. Our hot peppers, they did about the same as last year, so still made a year's supply of our peppers. So, and then our greens, they did okay, like the kale. This is another really big one. We did a mixed variety of beets. So there's some gold ones, which that's actually next is a golden beet. So they're pretty. Their leaves are different. They have gold on them instead of the traditional, reddish, purplish, pinkish color. But they all taste good to me. So, but everything else, it just sort of, with the garden, some stuff did really well and some stuff just barely ever took off, which, like I said, I think was because of the drought. But it's nice to see that the land is responding positively to us adding the layers and layers and layers of mulching and the spent hay from the goats and things of that nature, because I honestly had no idea how long this soil was going to take to get better. So I think that probably within the next 5 years, it's going to be pretty incredible. So I'm excited. But I have a ton more beets to work on doing, and it would be much faster if I wasn't yakking a whole bunch while trying to get work done. But it is what it is. Some days I feel real talkative, some days I don't. So anyways, that's it for today. I'm going to try to get these done, and there's a very loud tractor coming up the road. So thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.